eye-catching, colorful, beautiful, loud, and unique. All adjectives that help illustrate and describe a very undescribable citywide event, the Mummers Parade.
The Mummers are a group of individuals who get together on New Year's Day and are performing a big parade.
To narrow it down, I'd say Mummers is a community of creative people that like to be creative together.
And a lot of dedication through people that just white-collar, blue-collar workers. They come together once, 2 times a week.
And I think the intention of the thing is actually really pure and kind of great. And I think that gets shrouded sometimes.
A lot of groups gained a lot of popularity being on game shows like Quaker City. They were on The Wheel of Fortune that was filmed in Philadelphia at the time, and they were a special guest on there. They played some songs for the people in the crowd, and I know Fralinger String Band was in a couple of the telethons that were from Philadelphia. Joe Furco, I know way back when he was still captain of the Furco String Band, he was on What's My Line, and they were also in Miracle on 34th Street.
You got the fancy brigades, the fancy mother clubs, the string bands, the comics and the wenches, and they're all pretty much like well known around here in the city of Philly and like around the area. But I mean, it's without a doubt, hands down, and I'm not just saying this because I'm in this division, but the string bands are the ones that are the most notable here and beyond.
The organizations themselves would have their followers, families, friends. In the past, when the parade is televised, so in the past, the organizations that seem to prosper and do the best all the time, people would remember them. That's their fan favorites. Oh yeah, that band won last year, or they got 3rd prize last year in their competition. So that name kind of sticks with you, especially if you're a follower of the parade.
A lot of the groups were starting to get some work to play in parades in Ireland, Italy,
to Scotland, to participate in big events they might have in those particular countries, such as St. Paddy's Day and other special events might be around the world.
I mean, there was guys like Joe Furco and John Fralinger, and a little bit later on, Bob Shannon Jr., that just became like icons and basically like celebrities in the city. I mean, you had string bands that were like Furco and I think Fralinger, like reaching Billboard music charts with singles and records that they did. Uptown String Band had a million record seller of a song called I'm Looking Over a 4-Leaf Clover that was, labeled as this big unique string band sound that people were just guzzling up these records,
For me, it hit its peak in the late 80s into the 90s because it was really different back then and there.
Golden age of string bands and mummers was then. I mean, the following that we had, the fans that we had, I mean, there was people that were 7-8 rows deep on New Year's Day for the parade. It
was much more popular too with the community of Philadelphia where we live.
Our popularity started to dwindle, and now the Mummers they're struggling a little bit and they're trying to stay afloat.
All the fame, fortune, and high-flying stature that the Mummers had was essentially erased with a parade route alteration and a few loose cannons that caught the media's eye and put the parade in jeopardy.
New Year's Day, we parade down Broad Street, do our show in front of the City Hall.
And that was the route that it was for years. There was construction on Broad Street one year, 95, and we had to move to Market Street. It started at the Market Street overpass sign in Old City, right by the highway, and it went from there down to City Hall. Same deal. When you got there, you were done. And it was successful to a degree, but you lost a lot of people. People that stood on the same corner of Broad Street for 50 years.
We were losing popularity, we were losing support from the community, we were losing support from the city, which is our most important entity because we perform in their city and we need the city to back us.
What I saw when it was on the original route, and I know the routes changed even before that over the years, but when I was doing it, started at Oregon, and you go up the street from Oregon, and the number of neighborhoods that change and the way like the audiences change as you go up, like there was like every demographic, you know, there were, you know, poorer neighborhoods and wealthier neighborhoods. There was like all different ethnicities, and everybody was just kind of hanging out in the street, and they were playing for everybody. And they'd stop and like play and interact and give kids feathers, and like that was like every race, nationality, every part of the city. Like that day, I felt like the thing that I saw being on the street and looking out that you don't see when you're on the sidelines looking in is that part of it, which is like that day, everybody is better than they are the rest of the time. And I think that goes for like both the bands, but also the people on the sidelines in the city, because everybody's out together. And there's not much else in the city that does that. You know, there are a lot of parades or events that are for one community, and that's like really important. That's that community's culture. But that day becomes this thing where like everybody's out, and when it really works, and especially on the original route, you kind of went through every neighborhood.
The parade route now, I think, is absolutely terrible, for the record. It's all it really is like you showing up New Year's Day, you perform for the judges, and then it's done. And I don't think it gives back anything to the city. I don't think it gives back any to our community. I don't think it gives back anything to the people that follow us. And we're losing more people because of that.
I think you need to make it more fun for the people that are watching it, and not just the judges. Like, I know that we do all this to be judged and win first prize and all that, but I think we need to take a step back and say this is a parade for the city and the people in the city. And I think we should take a poll of the people and see what their opinion is and listen to them and do what they ask.
Part of the other thing too is that this past year with one of the organizations, the Comics, historically they would parody something that was a current topic or pop culture, and they would make light of it. And unfortunately, again, like the idiot that was drunk on the street, they parodied, and it kind of targeted the LGBT community. And it hurt them a little bit. And I'll be honest with you, as a gay man, I didn't really take, and I've been in the string bands a long time, and everyone knows that I'm gay, and I don't care. But it didn't really like bother me, because I kind of knew, even though I'm not happy that they did that, I understand traditionally that that's what they do. I think they could have maybe done it a little bit differently, but because prior to that unit getting on TV, there was one guy who was drunk on the street, and that small incident made this whole thing into a giant cluster mess. And because of that, the whole organization took a hit on national media for New Year's Day.
Because what I think happens is sometimes the most ignorant voices get the microphone because they're the loudest, and they're a story, and you know, and they're problematic, and so like, but they are the minority, at least in terms of like what I saw, and so, you know, even like I'd see conversations within bands where like one guy says something ignorant, and then somebody else yells at them, and that's all within the same band, you know.
Those people have since been banned from any mummers group ever for the rest of their lives. They're not welcomed in our hobby, because that's not what we're about. We're about celebrating. We're about happiness and entertainment, and they're gone. The Mummers worked hard to earn back the fans in the city and beyond. And finally, in the recent years, the campaigns have paid off with donations to Save the Mummers Foundation, a corporate sponsoring partner in Sugar House Casino, and generating innovative ideas to make the parade broadcast a better production.
Well, moving forward, I think that the parade is making a comeback.
Could it be better? Everything can be better.
You know, I'm 23 years old, and I was invited to be on our production committee to help put together shows. And really the reason that they want young guys like me and the few of the other guys that they brought in that are, you know, anywhere from like 17 to like 21 years old is because we watch different shows, we watch different videos online, we listen to different music, we see things that, you know, other people might not notice that have been doing it for a while, and they'll admit, you know, guys that have been in there for years that, you know, they can be a little stale.
Let them come in, let them voice their opinion, let them be involved, because I'm sure some of them want to be involved. That's how we progress. That's how we become a better organization as a whole.
You could actually tell the story like each band's like lead up to the parade, because I think that was so much of what makes the parade more interesting. When you just go and you watch, like, oh, that was a cute like theme, like that's cool, but like what's also cool is like when you're like, oh, that band got first like 3 years in a row, that band went from like 7th to 3rd last year, oh wait, they just dropped back to 9th, like that's, oh, they just took 5 guys from this other band, like, you know, and I think that's what makes it like really interesting and kind of cool, and it's the thing that makes like sports interesting, it's the thing that makes, you know, if you watch the Olympics, like, I don't care about bobsledding. If I turn on the Olympics, within 5 minutes, I know, well, that person did this last time, and then they broke this bone, and they weren't sure if they could come back, and now here they are, and their mom's crying, and like, I want them to win. Like, you need that kind of like narrative spark to like really pull people in, like, well, what am I actually watching? Then I think people would be more engaged.
Not being born into it and have done it for so long, I can't even imagine what my life would be like if I didn't do it. If I had never gotten into it, and my son probably would tell you the same thing.
There isn't many things out there that you can say you can do forever or be a part of forever, and this is one of them, and I don't regret it.
It's consuming. It's part of your life, so it is more than a hobby.
It's cool, like it was just, I feel like it was a real privilege to be part of it for a bit, to get to know it better, because I think otherwise like I probably would have a lot of the same misconceptions anybody else would have.
From their roots in Western Europe, from their immigration to America's city of Philadelphia in the 19th century, and through their growth and expansion into the city's most famous and unique tradition, one thing has never changed: the motto in which the mummers are guided, the words that they live by, the chant, or battle cry if you will, from their humble beginnings as door-to-door neighborhood celebrators, ringing in the new year. It's more than a silly rhyme. It's a message of joy, a message of acceptance and inclusion, of community, that no matter what, we can all be happy together. Here we stand, at your door, as we stood the year before. Give us whiskey, give us gin, open up, and let us in. In honor of the club and then everything that you did for everybody for the string bands, I think it would be cool since we own that copy if you...
Oh, is this the band copy? Oh, right on. I didn't know that. That's cool. Let me pull the thing out. I haven't seen the inside of this for a while. Cool. Thanks, Mike. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Nice. It's funny, I haven't seen that in a while. Oh, it's so crazy. Yeah. Cool.
All right. Thanks.
Yeah.